Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Marshall Baranek, and I'm a solutions engineer here on the Net at Work team. Today's session is entitled Revolutionizing Construction, the Power of Automation in Construction Project Management. It has never been more important to optimize your business with the right technology. In today's fast-paced environment, businesses recognize that effective project management is where scale truly counts. Whether it's revolutionizing workflows, improving cost effectiveness, or simply better overall project outcomes, growth is easier and less costly with the right technology. In today's live web event, we will showcase how modern cloud ERP solutions tailored for the construction industry, such as Acumatica, are reshaping the industry. This session is ideal for construction managers, contractors, and other industry professionals looking to elevate project control and drive profitability. I have a few standard housekeeping items to review before we jump into the content here today. The webinar is scheduled for approximately 45 minutes, and all lines have been muted to provide for a clean listening experience today. Although you are muted, I would encourage you to participate with me during the live session today, and thank you for those that are watching the recording thereafter. But please do leverage the questions chat box, and I will do my best to watch that as questions come up. And I will reserve some time at the end for additional questions as well. So now over to today's agenda. In today's presentation, we will start with a few overview slides. However, I plan to spend the majority of the time working within the software. I'll start by providing an introduction of Net at Work as a company and explain exactly what we mean by a next generation solution. After a live demonstration of Acumatica, I will conclude with some additional resources that can assist in your search for a new ERP solution. Net at Work's purpose is to help small and medium businesses compete in today's global digital economy. Net at Work has over 25 years of experience in the computer software industry, and we are recognized as one of the top ERP providers in the space. We are one of the top technology integrators, and we work with several of the top ERP providers such as Sage, Oracle NetSuite, Acumatica, as well as several other products. From this slide, you can see that we are recognized as a global leader across a variety of different products. When evaluating any software solution, perhaps it's more important that you choose a team with a proven track record of success. And here at Net at Work, we've helped over 6,000 clients transform their company to better compete in the digital age. This slide here is simply to point out that we do more than just ERP. We do have a practice dedicated to employer solutions, so payroll and HR solutions. We have a dedicated practice to CRM as well, whether you're using a point solution for CRM, such as Salesforce or Microsoft. Today, we're going to look at the CRM that's embedded within Acumatica. We do also provide cloud hosting services as well, whether that be through Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, or otherwise. And so Acumatica, one thing I really appreciate about Acumatica is that they do not sell their product directly. They do rely on a channel of value-added resellers in order to sell their product. And so Acumatica is the publisher of the Acumatica Cloud ERP platform. And since its inception in about 2008, it has grown to well over 10,000 clients at this point in time. And it was originally designed for 5 major industry sectors, that being manufacturing, distribution, construction, and services. Here at Net at Work, we have a little over 350 employees, a little over 7,000 clients, and we are annually certified on the Acumatica solution. Now, I am a little bit biased when it comes to Acumatica. And what this slide here is showing is that G2 satisfaction survey. You'll see Acumatica here in the upper right-hand quadrant. And Acumatica consistently ranks in the upper right-hand quadrant for customer satisfaction as well as usability. And in my opinion, usability is critical when it comes to adopting a new solution, because an easy-to-use product is adopted quickly, and that provides real business value. Now over to the fun stuff. Today, I will start by providing a brief system overview of Acumatica. However, we're going to jump right into some workflow, and we're going to show how we might do some project quoting, or starting with the estimate, and how we might create those project quotes for various GCs or owners. We'll then jump right into the project job costing, showcasing how we might capture costs and set up some background stuff for the project management. And then we'll walk through a couple workflows today, including a daily field report, some project issues, an RFI workflow, and will result in a change order today in the product. And so this slide here, just I should have had this before, but this speaks a little bit to Acumatica's different industry editions, as I had suggested before. And here with the construction edition, today we are primarily going to be focusing on those two little bubbles on the right-hand side, the job cost accounting as well as the project management. Acumatica does also provide full service payroll. So as we start to track labor rates today, each of those payroll entries can be managed within Acumatica as well. Acumatica also has an optional inventory management system. If you do have a large amount of inventory on hand, we can help you manage that. And then we also have a service management solution, which I've done previous webinars on for your service dispatch employees. But again, today we will be focusing on the job cost accounting and the project management. Alrighty, and with that, it's important to note that Acumatica will be accessed through a web browser, but it can also be accessed through a mobile application as well, and can be accessed from anywhere that you might have internet connection. And with that, let's go ahead and jump on in here today. What you all should be looking at now is my web browser. I'm currently on the Acumatica Open University. And I like to start here for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that if you sign into Acumatica Open University, then you'll get access to all of the learning paths and course catalogs that I had access to when I got trained on the platform. And it's all free, all ungated. The next thing I like to point out is that because I'm simply in a web browser, you'll also see that Acumatica can be accessed through a web browser as well. And so now you should be looking at the Acumatica login screen. And as the system remembers my credentials, I'll go ahead and sign on in. But please do keep in mind that Acumatica does have the ability to support multi-factor authentication, and we also work with a variety of single sign-on solutions as well. What you're looking at currently is an example of a homepage, and my homepage today is a construction project manager dashboard. So I can easily get visibility into all of my active projects. I can see of those 25 projects, which ones have low billing ratios or have underutilized employees. I can see items that I have for review that I need to approve, and issues that might be coming up on particular projects. Down below, I can see a change order log, as well as project summary showing me revised estimate versus cost to date. If I'd like to drill into any of these dashboard components, I do have that ability, and you'll have the ability to update these different dashboard tiles based on various thresholds. Perhaps 5 projects with a low billing ratio isn't that big of a deal, but something we want to be aware of. Perhaps we have this here to where anything above 1 is going to show up as yellow, and anything above 6 is going to show up as red. By updating those settings, you'll see that the tile went from red to yellow, indicating the severity of those particular issues. By clicking on the 25 active projects, it'll dive into an inquiry window where I can see a list of 25 projects. These are all of my active projects in the application. And what you're looking at currently is the first example of a generic inquiry within the application, which is really used for driving a lot of the reporting within the application. This particular report is showing each of my projects, and then I can see what the budget is, what the actual amount is, less the budget, to see if I'm profitable on a particular job. If I wanted to drag and drop certain columns, I'm free to do that. I could drag my original budget and then my actual amount to see what that delta is next to each other. I can see various tabs across the top, such as looking at all records versus completed projects. We also have a concept of a side panel. And if you notice on the right-hand side of the screen, the side panel will give me visibility into the project that's selected on the left-hand side. So here I can see what the task structure is for these various projects. If I jump into a project such as this one here, I should be able to see the various tasks that are associated with that. Now, in terms of navigation, you will see me leverage these different workspaces on the left-hand side. And I only have access to a handful of them per today's demo. However, underneath the more items, security permitting, you'll have access to all of the modules within the application, such as finance, banking, inventory, or services. So you will see me navigate the program accessing these various workspaces. The next thing I like to point out is the logo in the upper left-hand corner that says Acumatica. Anytime you click that button there, that'll bring you back to your home page, which again for me was this Construction Project Manager dashboard. You'll also notice that we can leverage the search utility for searching for things in the platform as well. So if I were to type in something such as project, I can see things like project quotes, project balance reports, project profitability, and much, much more. If I navigate to the transactions and profiles window, I'm actually looking up transactions such as AP invoices, receivable invoices, and more, basically searching for various transactions in the platform. I also have a very detailed help topics section where I can search for various help topics within the application. Perhaps a better way to navigate help topics is to use this little question mark in the upper right-hand corner, because we have help topics associated with every page within the application. So if I click Open Help, for example, this will give me activities and related information on how to design my dashboards. By coming back to the search feature, I also like to point out that we do double as a document management solution as well. So here you can see various images, PDFs, Excel workbooks, and more that will be housed within the Acumatica application. Now, per the agenda today, we're going to start by highlighting some opportunity workflow, and this may be done by your sales reps. And so I like to highlight that we will provide a dashboard for your various salespeople. Now, if I were to log into the application as a salesman, I may be interested to see my new leads. I may want to check in on my open opportunities or get alerted when one of these opportunities hasn't had any activity over the last 30 days. By clicking into My Opportunities, I can see a list of those clients that I'm working with for potential projects. Here you can see I have a Four Seasons project. Somebody's interested in a new project opportunity here. And similar to the previous inquiry, I can filter across the top in the various records. So for example, if I wanted to see all records, I can navigate to the left-hand side. And I like to point out how this particular inquiry is built with some conditional formatting. Notice how some columns here, or some rows here, will have green indicating that the opportunity is 1. some red indicating that something's past a date, or perhaps beige if something's blank. We can start to incorporate these color palettes and color coordination all throughout the application, really anywhere you see an inquiry window like this, including with inside of a project. Now, if I navigate back over to the open ones for me, this is where I can start to look at opportunities that I've worked on in the past. But for today, we are going to create a brand new opportunity, and I've received a bid request. And here on the right-hand side, I'm going to come over and click Create Opportunity. Now, if I know an approximate amount of this opportunity, I could put that in, or I could save that for later. And if you'd like to classify this opportunity, you can do so as well. An example I like to use is that if you have somebody email you for a project, that's a very different opportunity than someone that might be questioning you for employment. And we might send that to an HR rep to have them follow up appropriately. But for this particular opportunity, we'll go ahead and click Create. And notice how this email has an attachment, some information in the body. And by navigating back to the database, I can see the new opportunity that's been pulled in. Here I can see that bid request here, and notice how it has not yet been assigned to an owner. I could have done that directly from my email when I created that. Alternatively, you can have the system dynamically assign these opportunities to an owner. So you can do that by using a processing engine called Assign Opportunities. Otherwise, you could just jump into that and do it manually, like I will today. Again, we're still in the quoting phase, and you'll see here that the email pulled in, and I have the attachment here as well. Now that I'm working on the opportunity record, oops, let me pull it up once again. I can navigate over to the quote section to see that you can have one or multiple quotes associated with an opportunity. You may provide a discounted quote that expires after a certain date versus an actual quote, or perhaps there's different scopes that you might provide to your particular contractor. By clicking Open, I can open this opportunity and put it into any of these stages that you get to define. Perhaps we're in the solution stage because we've already provided an estimate. I'm going to click Create Quote here to go ahead and create my project quote for today. And this is where we can start to either create the estimate within Acumatica or perhaps import in an estimate from an external application. If we navigate over to Project Template here, we'll jump here and we're going to leverage a Progress Billings template today. Oops. And notice how my tasks fill in across the 16 or 17 traditional construction phases. Underneath the estimate, you can either build your estimate right from here, or you could import this in directly from an Excel workbook. We do also work with web-based takeoff tools, so you can work with other estimating tools that plug directly into Acumatica. So the project that I'm going to be setting up today is a project that's about $2 million, and you can see there's about a 15% margin, which is calculated based on the estimate. You do have the ability to route a project quote for approval prior to it being issued to a client. And by navigating to the Approvals tab, I can see that this is going to Jason in the sales department. Our sales manager approved this, and you may want to email out a quote out to your general contractor, but we'll assume that we're going to win the project today, and we'll go ahead and click Convert. By activating the project, we'll be able to start to record various costs and revenue underneath the project umbrella. Here we can see how the project is set up. How are we managing the various revenue budgets and cost budgets? Do we allow for change order workflow? And do we allow for pro forma invoicing on billing? Acumatica allows for you to set standard retainage, whether that's standard, contract cap, or item cap. Here underneath the Balances tab, I can see my projected sources for revenue as well as my projected sources of cost. Underneath the Commitments tab, you can see any purchase orders or subcontracts that may have been set up for this particular project. If I navigate to a project that's in process, such as my hotel project today, we'll be able to see here a variety of subcontracts and purchase orders that you might have set up, and whether they're open, closed, or otherwise. Underneath the Invoices tab, we can see any invoicing to date that's been done on a particular project. And under the Change Orders tab, we can see any previous change orders that may or may not have been approved. Underneath the Equipment tab, we can manage any equipment for a particular project. And let's jump back to the project that we created just a moment ago to set some equipment parameters. Oops, wrong one. Yep, this will work. Okay. So if we come here to the plus button, I can add in some equipment such as my Azuki truck 2016, and we can define what the run rate is, what the setup rate is, and then what the suspend rate is for that particular item. So that way, when we process an equipment time card, we know what to bill that against. Back here under the Balances tab, we're going to keep an eye on this as we start to record costs against a particular project. That can be done a few different ways, and I'm going to showcase that through the project management module, how we can start to record some costs to the project. On the left-hand side, we can jump into the project management workspace, and I'm going to highlight this through the concept of the daily field report. And I'm going to add a new one for today's example. We'll select the project in question, which again for me is that project 33, and whoever the project manager is that's filling out the particular daily field report today. We can start to add some labor and time activities as we're recording who had worked on the particular job that day and what it was that they worked on, such as site work or otherwise. We can see the time spent here, such as 8 hours for that particular item, and I'll go ahead and click Save. I'll go ahead and add some additional time here, and I'm logged in as Maxwell Baker, so I'll log that time for myself now, and I'll say that I went ahead and spent 4 hours today on the project task 3. We can also say that we spent some time working on a different project task, and I can record time there as well. If you are leveraging the concept of a cost code, we can record the individual cost codes those employees are working on as well. Now that I've recorded some labor to the project, what I'll do next is I'll navigate over to the Progress Worksheets tab. Now, this Progress Worksheets tab, this is the ability to start to measure progress against a particular budget. And so, for example, if I jumped into a previous daily field report, such as this one here for the hotel project, we can see an example of how you might set up progress worksheets. For example, if we had 775 cubic yards to go, we can see what has been previously completed, what was completed to date, and what was posted, and what the total percent complete is to the finish. These can feed directly into your progress billings via the progress worksheets. Navigating back to the daily field report today, you'll notice the next two tabs are change request and change order. And this is where we're going to start to incorporate the change order workflow in a few steps. Next is the subcontractors tab, where we can record any and all subcontractors that may have come onto a particular project. Notice that because I haven't set up a subcontract yet, I don't have any vendors that are available. The next tab is a project issues tab. And this is the ability to raise your hand and say, we have an issue on a project. I'm going to walk through a workflow here shortly. But first, I like to point out we have the ability to manage photo logs, notes, equipment usage, weather, visitor log, and more. If I add in an equipment ID, such as that truck I was describing earlier, we'll select the project task that truck was on, and then we'll go ahead and put that time here today as how long it took to set up, how long we were running that for, and if there was any suspended time. If all of that is billable, we might want to provide a description. Oops. We'll go ahead and click Save here. And, oh, it's because I did a demo earlier today. That's why it's yelling at me. What I can do here is I can switch this piece of equipment and click Save. So being able to do all of the data entry directly from a web form like this eliminates the need to having to transmit any pieces of paper to and from the back office. Okay. Oh, not sure why. Give me just a second to make sure it took that. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. And so now under the project issues, I'm going to click Create Project Issue, because if you did have any issues that you had on the project, you may want to have a workflow to help resolve them. Perhaps you found a rock that was underneath the door and you need a blasting crew. What we'll do is we'll tie this to a particular task. We can classify that as a field report or otherwise, and we can then record the details of the issue here. The next thing you might do is record under activities what has been done to resolve this issue up until now. Perhaps we created a phone call here and we called the foreman about the issue. No resolution as of yet. So we can start to record those activities that are being done so that we have the appropriate paper trail. The next thing that you might do here on a project issue is that if you don't have any resolution right away, you may want to convert this project issue into a more formal RFI. By creating a formal RFI, we can select a business contact that this may need to go to. Perhaps we need to pull in a specialist. We'll go ahead and classify this as a information RFI, and we'll then indicate here whether it's incoming, meaning that it's someone within our organization that needs to resolve this. By coming over to the right-hand side, we can indicate whether this will impact the schedule, the cost, or otherwise. I'll put that this will be a potential cost impact of, say, $10,000. That's what we'll estimate as of right now. We can see the details of the issue here on the left-hand side. And if we needed to email or print this out to an individual, we can do that right from here. And we can email it out to that contact. Here you can see the contents of the body, where all they need to do is reply without changing the subject here, the details of the RFI. Once we do receive a response, it'll go ahead and populate it into the answer section here. Once it's been responded to, we can go ahead and click open here, and we can then convert to a change request as needed. If there is ultimately going to be a change in the scope, either to cost and or price of the project, we can start to build that estimate here, similar to how we built the estimate earlier in the demo. If it's going to be a change, we might want to add additional equipment time there, and we can do so by clicking in the quantity here and what we believe that will cost us versus what that's going to cost the client. I'm going to put this at a 100% markup, and you'll see we have $1,000 cost and $2,000 total. There may also be some additional details that are required, such as some labor here, and we'll go ahead and say that's going to be 10 additional hours and at a cost of, say, $250 per hour. Alternatively, you could pull in a labor item such as service or otherwise, and notice how it automatically will calculate out the unit cost and unit price based on what's set up for that inventory ID. By clicking save here, we've created a new change request, and we can provide a detailed description. And notice how this has flowed with me all the way from the project issue. By clicking remove hold, we can go ahead and create a change order from here. Oh, it's yelling at me because I forgot to include my revenue task here today. Let's go ahead and put that in. And we'll go ahead and click save and create that change order. So most change orders will need to be approved externally. And so notice here how as soon as we remove the hold here, the next step is to get that approval. By coming here, we can email out an example of this change order. And underneath the activities tab, we can see an example of that email. Here underneath the files attachments, I can see a printed form of the change order. You can see the detailed amount, how that's changing the original revenue budget, and how that's affecting the revised revenue budget total. Once that has been signed, it could be done electronically. We can go ahead and complete the daily field report. We can complete the change order rather. Sorry, it's in my other screen. So once we click release on the change order here, that'll ultimately update the project appropriately. So navigating back to the project record here within my Acumatica system, we can see where that change order came into play. Underneath the balances tab, you can see here what the change order budgeted amount, the $3,000 under income and the $2,000 under expenses. We have started to incur some labor as well as some equipment charges. However, you may have noticed on the right-hand side and said, hey, Marshall, your actuals column is empty. It doesn't look like you've incurred any expenses. And the reason for that is that we have an approval process for posting entries to a particular project. If you would prefer, this next step could happen automatically. However, what I'm going to do here is type in release time activities. And so this is the ability for a project manager to see those time activities on a particular project. And I'm going to click off the ones that I've worked on today and click process. It should only take a moment to release those labor activities. And the next thing I need to do is release any equipment. So by typing in equipment time cards, I can see the time cards that were created for the particular project I was working on today. This equipment time card here was a result of the daily field report that I had worked on earlier. And by submitting and releasing the equipment time card, we've now released those activities as well as equipment usage to the particular project. By clicking the refresh button on the page and navigating back to the balances tab, we can see that we now have actuals under our equipment and labor sections here. As for adding materials to the project, we could either invoice directly for those materials, or we could start to set up purchase orders to drop ship the items directly to the job site. By clicking under the change order tab here, I can see the change order that was created a little bit earlier in the demo today. There are some other project management activities, such as drawing logs and submittals, that are available for you within the application. But what I'd like to do now is to go ahead and run a project billings today. And by clicking Run Project Billings, we should be met with a pro forma style invoice here today. Here I can see under Progress Billings, I can see what my percent complete for one of these various tasks might be. If I want to go ahead and click in there that we have completed 2.2%, I could do that. Or you could use the actual balances tab to help guide that. So by coming back to the original project, what we'll do is we'll look at how much we've actually incurred from a project expenses perspective. And I've done about 0.06% of the project. And so by clicking Run Project Billing, we'll go ahead and type in that we have accomplished 0.06 of the particular project on both of these lines. You would want to indicate the line that you've actually done, and we can print out an AIA style report, but in the interest of time today, I'll go ahead and click Release. It's telling me I've already got one, so that's fine. I just did it twice on accident. And we can process the billings accordingly. So with that, we'll jump back into the PowerPoint slides for a couple closing slides. I wanted to thank you all for joining the session today. I hope you found all of the product presented informative. For future next-gen ERP and other educational sessions, please do visit our website at webinars@netatwork.com or netatwork.com/webinars. Give us a call at 800-719-3307, and we'll be sure to speak with you to provide more details. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and bye-bye for now.